All right, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this very special live Vic Farmer Time session. I'm speaking to you today from Wurundjeri land, so I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. We have a really special session in store for us today, so I'm going to hand over to farmer Catherine Velisha, and she's going to give you a bit of an overview of what she grows, where she's from, and what a day in the life of a veggie producer looks like. Thanks, Catherine. Take it away.
No worries. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Catherine Velisha. I'm Managing Director of Velisha Farms, and we're situated in Werribee South, Victoria. So it's quite cold there today, as I'm not sure where you're all sitting, but it's fresh across the whole country at the moment. We grow a lot of brassicas, which are collies and broccoli, and that's what Werribee South region is mainly known at. But other things we grow are kale, spring onions, celery, and zucchini. So they're our main lines. We're obviously, the day in the life of a farmer is never the same. Today we were supposed to be harvesting broccoli. However, there's been a lot of rain and it's wet. And as you probably know, there's such a shortage of stock around. So the fact that we can't cut any broccoli is disappointing for everyone involved. But these are the things, and this is kind of what we're talking about today, which is sustainability and how do we stay sustainable, and how do we keep vegetables on the shelves for you guys to eat.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Catherine. All right. So I guess the first question that I've got for you is, can you describe the journey from paddock to plate? And can you describe any sustainable practices that happen on farm, but also along that journey?
Yeah, okay. So generally what we do is as horticulturists, producers of big crops, is we don't really plant seeds as vegetables. So firstly, everything starts in the nursery where we grow plants. So we grow seeds into plants, and that usually takes 2 or 3 weeks. And that is quite a sustainable way to start the product, because what you've got there is a very good strike rate. So the inputs that you put into that little pot with that seed means you genuinely get a plant. So that's a really high strike rate. So you're not wasting fertilizers, food, soil, etc. So then from that, we get the seeds, and they're now plants. So they're probably about 2 or 3 weeks old, and they then get planted into the ground. The reason why we put plants instead of seeds in is for a lot of reasons, but it's mainly just to give them that head start so we do get success in the field, because seeds, things like birds can eat them, they can get blown away, they can get rained away. And also plants and things then can compete against them. So by putting in a plant, we've got the best chance of getting the maximum outcome from that crop. So then obviously along the journey, it's usually the veggies that we grow, iceberg lettuce is about 10 weeks, collies and broccoli about 12 to 14, zucchinis can be anywhere between 12 to 16, celery the same. It's got a lot to do with the weather. The warmer the weather is, usually things grow quicker. The colder the weather is, usually things grow slower. That's why in winter, a lot of the times, if, for example, which is what's happened now, Queensland don't have any stock because of all those rains. Victoria can't keep up because we're just too cold and the things aren't growing quick enough. So we leave them in the plants. We aren't organic, so we use a small amount of pesticides or food or whatever we need to do to get the plants up to the state to ready to harvest. They then get harvested. Generally, there's about 20% left we leave in the field that just hasn't grown properly, is out of spec, and we'll talk about specifications a little bit later around that for sustainability. But about 20% is left in the crop. We take the rest in, we harvest that, and we obviously try to pack and sell and do whatever we can with that. The stuff that's left in the paddock doesn't go to waste. We chop it up and we call green fertilizer. So what that means is it then feeds the plants and the soil. So that's obviously another way we add sustainability to our practices. Water is another one. We try to use the least amount of water. Obviously, the rain sometimes helps. In Werribee South, we use 80% recycled water. So that's a really big thing, and it's quite unique to our area. So that's really great. The other 20% just comes from bores or from the river. So that's pretty much from the seed to the cool room, at least.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Thank you so much for that, Catherine. I guess the next question, I know that you sort of touched on specifications, but that's quite a big sustainability issue, the way that veggies look and whether people are going to buy them or whether supermarkets and big shops are going to buy them. Can you talk a little bit more about that for us?
So, yes, this is one of my pet passions and hates, I guess, at the same time. But specifications cause a lot of issues. So there's specifications around things, obviously, like rot, fungus, pests, and things like that, which are, in my opinion, understandable things like that, because obviously if something's rotten, you can't eat it, it's unhealthy for you. Also, sometimes the pest ones can be a little bit of an interesting conversation, because a lot of these pests are naturally occurring, and then people don't want us to spray certain amounts. So a lot of that's give and take. But there are a lot of other specifications that really add to cost of produce, waste of produce, and inability to properly grow sustainable food. And they are things like size and color specifications. So for example, cauliflowers need to be really white, and they won't be accepted unless under rare circumstances when they're that yellow color. And the yellow is all that is a bit of suntan, really, not even burn. So that's just purely aesthetic, that someone's decided that a white collar is superior, even though there is no nutrition or eating experience that's any better. Broccoli, size of heads. So people, the supermarkets, consumers, whoever it is, don't really want a large size of head. So that the thing with broccoli, if it's warm, it can grow very quickly. So what was perfect today could be overblown tomorrow, and then thus is waste. Now it's out of specification. Things like zucchinis, if they're too big, if they're too scratched. Now the scratching, if you've ever known a zucchini plant, they've got little like hairs on the sides of the plant that are a bit rough. So when it's windy, the zucchini rubs up against it and it gets scratches, and those scratches are deemed as unacceptable from a selling point of view. So, and spring onions are a perfect one. White dots on the spring onions, that's caused by hail. And then obviously a hail effect can hit a whole crop. There's nothing you can do about hail. And those white dots, if they hit the plant when they were little, will grow, just stay on them the whole time. So you can have like weeks and weeks and weeks of stock that's unsellable, only based on superficial reasons. So that's kind of the sustainability. I think we can do a lot as consumers. We have a lot more power in that. I think we need to start challenging these stereotypes. We need to start being with our own purchasing power, buying different things. So stop rummaging through everything and looking for perfect things, because there is no perfect thing. And what's happening is, to get this kind of perfection on a shelf, there's a lot of waste going on the back. So things that, like there is talk around powders and odd veg and seconds veg and all that. But the reality is, what you're still doing is creating something that's unattainable, really, and then causing these other things around it. So something to think of around specifications.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so interesting. Thank you so much for that. So, aside from the vegetables that you chop up and put back into the ground to use as fertilizer, are there any veggies that sort of end up going to waste, or is there somewhere else that they can go?
Yeah, so a lot of the outer spec veg gets tried to use for processing and things like that. But obviously also those costs, you get paid a lot less for them. So that does still also make farming less sustainable. And again, what we're talking about is superficial reasons. So if a zucchini is now 16 centimeters instead of 14 centimeters, I could literally be getting, $5 or $6 less a box, or 60 cents less a kilo, based on the perceived notion that a 14 centimeter zucchini is a far superior product. And like I said, other than the perceived perfection of that look, the nutrition or the eating experience, etc., aren't any different. So we need to start challenging why 14 centimeters is the perfect zucchini size and 16 isn't.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so, so cool. All right. Now, I've got one more question for you before we have a look at the video that you've got for us today.
Yep.
And that one is about opportunities for young people to get involved in farming, and particularly in horticulture farming. So, what kind of jobs exist in the industry? How could a young person get into the field? And why do you reckon it's a great place to be working?
So this is one of my passions, talking about the opportunities in horticulture and farming. I think we are the original startups and the entrepreneurs. So if you think about how farming really comes about, you have to take a punch, you buy some land, and then you have to put in all these inputs and wait to see if you get any rewards for that. So if that's not a startup, I'm not sure what that is. And if it's not an entrepreneurial spirit, then I don't know what that is. So I think it's just about time that we start talking about farming and horticulture for what it really is. And that's an industry full of opportunities. So you've obviously got all of the on-farm roles, which are, planting, harvesting, all of the kind of science-based subjects that surround all of those kind of aspects on there. But then you've also got all these side opportunities. So we've got a finance manager, we've got our own marketing arm, we've got operations managers, production managers, logistics, drivers, everything. So there's just so many opportunities. And what happens is I think people only think of it in a very small way. So it doesn't matter what you're interested in. Is it finance? Is it numbers? Is it talking? Is it selling? There's a job for you in horticulture. So come and join us.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear. Thank you so much for that. All right. We've now got a really fantastic virtual farm tour that Farmer Catherine's filmed on her farm. So we're going to give that a look and then we will wrap up the session. So let's have a
Here at Velisha Farms, we grow lots of delicious fresh vegetables on many different farms all across Australia. We grow cauliflower, lettuce, broccoli, cucumber, kale, and lots more. Have you ever wondered how we grow so many vegetables? Well, let's take a look. You've probably eaten lettuce in a salad or a hamburger, but did you know that lettuce, just like all vegetables, starts out as a seed? Let's see just how it grows. It all starts in the factory, where the tiny seeds are put into small punnets full of soil on the conveyor belt. The seeds are laid out in the sun, and here you can see the very first leaves pushing through the soil starting to grow. Look how many there are. The roof of the nursery protects the seedlings from hail and hungry birds. Every day, someone in the team comes to water the seedlings with a hose. The seedlings are then taken to the farm for planting. The special tractor drops the seedlings into the soil as it drives along the farm. Once the lettuce has fully grown, they are ready for picking, which is also known as harvesting. The farmer uses a knife to pick the lettuce and to trim off any outer leaves. The team works together to pick all of the lettuce in the field before they are taken to the shed for packing. Once they are packed, the lettuce goes into a big truck and heads down the road to our customers. One of our customers is Aldi Supermarkets. Next time you're at Aldi, keep an eye out for Velisha Farms lettuce.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Catherine. All right. My very last question for you before we wrap up for today is, what is your favorite thing about being a farmer? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry, Catherine.
So I think one of the best things about being a farmer is the flexibility. There's lots of different things going on all the time. It's never boring. Sometimes I wish it was a little bit more boring, but it's never boring. There's always stuff going on. But the industry itself is literally the most important industry. There is no more important food than vegetables. There's nothing better for humans and the environment. So there is no more important job, because even like doctors and nurses have to eat. So that's probably the best thing, doing the most important job on earth.
Couldn't blame you for that. Amazing. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Catherine. We really appreciate your time. I've learned so much, and I'm sure everyone watching this session will have as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Catch you later.
See you later. Thank you.
Bye.